Please welcome to the stage now!
Right, for those of you listening in audio, I can describe myself as being tall. I have a blue hat that says they, them, because they're my pronouns, apparently. I have a black shirt that says proud, in Primark tricolours. A grey plaid jacket, because, for reasons we'll discuss later, a very funky skirt that goes skinny. Oh, it's very colourful, isn't it? It's very stripy. It's like blue and yellow and red and all manner of colours. And I'm not wearing shoes because I feel more comfortable that way. So, and in answer to the question that you had earlier, what I would bring from my childhood, from my teenage years, is my old computer. Because what I did when I was a teenager was play on my computer a lot. That is a very evident thing when I was playing on my computer and not doing what normal teenagers do. We'll come on to that in a minute as well. But anyway, yes, I spoke last night where I read bits of my diary when I was looking around to see if there was anything that was indicative of my future queer progression. In case you didn't learn last time, I'm aro ace. So I'm asexual, aromantic. When you're a 16-year-old boy, that sort of thing does not exist. So, but at the time, I had a lot of pen pals, and I mentioned this last time, and I thought, what can I do this time? I know, I'll look at my old pen pal letters to see if there's anything there that was revealing. Turns out that there is. So, when I was, I don't know, maybe 16, 17, 18, and then when I went into university, I had about 20, 30 pen pals that I used to write letters to, and they were all women. Which, when you think about it, 17-year-old boy, heterosexual male, with a lot of female friends. There's two ways that can go. One of them, player. The other one is that you're not a 17-year-old heterosexual male. So, what I did was I used to type a lot of my letters because my handwriting is a bit shit. And also, when you've got 30 pen pals, it's a lot easier to type them, and then you can, copy and paste paragraphs. Always thinking, even in those days, always being honest. So, I still got them. So I went through them a couple of nights ago and went, oh yeah, that's interesting. So, for instance, and these were all written mid-90s, so you've got to imagine that I'm 17, 18, 19, so it's like the end of sixth form, start of university. That's the sort of age we're dealing with here. And I've got little tidbits, like 3rd of December, 1995, letter to Kim. Yes, I hate soppy films and soppy books, etc. But this doesn't stop me from writing them. I write stories, usually love stories. I hate watching love stories on TV or in films because I find them too yucky. Romantic there. What's interesting is that what I've since learned in hindsight is, anyone know the website AO3? Thought you would. Do you know a lot of the people that write on AO3, a lot of the people who do this fanfics, are aro ace? So, they're people that know, I don't really want this in my real life, but I'm damn straight gonna write some queer content. Because we have really good imaginations. What's that phrase? So the mind is willing, but the body is weak. So, what else have we got? We've got, 26th of August, 1995, letter to Mandy. You may be glad to hear I know nothing about fantastic snobs with gorgeous guys. You may, however, be saddened to learn that nor do I know much about fantastic snobs with gorgeous girls. Or any girls, for that matter. In fact, the first even half-decent snog I had was in late June. I have no idea who that was with. But this is an interesting one. So, 3rd of March 1995, letter to Kylie. I still speak to Kylie, she's a friend in Australia, and I was quite open with her. And it starts with, no picture at the top of this letter, I'm afraid. While I do know of someone with a scanner, so if I wanted to, I could have a picture of anything I want on the letter. He isn't here. In fact, I'm 60 miles away from him. I do have pictures on this computer, but none of them are particularly impressive, I'm afraid. Incidentally, pictures of women's cleavage do not interest me particularly. I find these rather dull. Now, remember that statement, we'll come back to it later. I continue. There must have been a question about sex, because I don't have her letter anymore, but the response is, to answer your question, I cannot answer it, as I have no experience of the matter. Incidentally, the one and only time my housemate tried it, my housemate at the time, this was when I was at university, he was a computer science student. Now I know that we shouldn't talk about stereotypes. Stereotypes are, you take an entire group of people and distill them into certain characteristics that are not necessarily representative of the population. However, in this case, my housemate tried it, he couldn't get to sleep. Actually, that's not strictly true. He went to bed at 1:30 a.m, woke up at 5:30 and was at it until 7:20. He didn't fall asleep afterwards, they both sat up and watched TV. He still hurts. In any case, it is widely known that men are the least romantic of the two sexes. Of course, there are exceptions. Not that I'm blowing my own trumpet or anything, well, not at the moment, as that would be quite messy. I know nothing about that sort of thing. And I knew nothing about that sort of thing at the time. Anyway, what else have we got? 30th of April 1995, letter to Arno, a lady I actually ended up meeting. Really cool, one of the people I could really open out to. She was in Finland. Okay. There are no content warnings in here, but when you're like an 18-year-old living in Clause 28 land and believing that you're a heterosexual male, I've never met a bisexual, so I couldn't comment. But if you want to know what I really think, actually, I'm rather jealous. As a heterosexual male, I'm only attracted to females, and I have had extreme difficulty finding a relationship. I first kissed a girl 6 days after my 18th birthday. That did not end well. Bisexuals don't have this limitation problem. Plus, since they all tend to hang out together, it's easier for them to find a partner. No idea what's going on. Letter to Ilse, my very good friend in South Africa, 23rd of January 1996. Now here, at this point, I had actually started talking to people. And I said, then there's Catherine, we were talking about female friends that I knew. Then there's Catherine. Well, we still just walk around the local area. It's usually quite peaceful and quiet. This was the southern suburbs of Birmingham. Often we end up at my house, in my bedroom, just talking. No, I'm not going to push it. This comes up again. No, I'm not going to push it further because, to be quite honest, I rather like it like that. Besides, we've discussed things like this, and she said she doesn't really want a boyfriend, just a friend. Which suits me fine. I saw her last night for a few hours, and we did the usual walking around the local area and just chatting. I don't think I'm ever likely to be her boyfriend. We'll probably just stay friends who like meeting and talking to each other and just happen to be of opposite sexes. Trying to persuade people around here that that's all we are, were, and will be, it's a little tricky. They don't seem to believe us. I have also found out Catherine is not really interested in sex, open bracket, a bit like me really, exclamation mark, close bracket. January 1996. It's taken me that long. Now, 14th of January 1995, yet a letter to Jelena, my very good friend in Serbia. And I've had some very long conversations with her. Now this is talking about when I actually did manage to find a partner, who we will come on to later. Tuesday night, I saw her again. She stayed the night at my house. So we stayed up until a ridiculous hour watching music television. The Box, mainly. It's a cable television channel. Don't know if you remember The Box. It was one of those channels that was 24 hours of music, and you could phone up and dial a number, and there'd be, like, along the bottom of the screen it would have a code, so you could dial up that particular code and request that music video. Yes, it was all mainly dance music, because it was, you know, the mid-90s. She actually spent the night in my bed. Unfortunately, so did I. And to celebrate the occasion, I even took my sweatshirt off. The mind boggled. Nothing happened. Well, we kissed and hugged, but nothing else. Apparently, and this was my biggest takeout of this, apparently I don't snore. It's quite useful. Yeah, that was the exciting part of my relationships. And now, we have a very long entry. It's the last entry I've got for the Arroways bit. It is 3rd of December 1995. It is a letter to a lady called Laure. She was a French pen pal who I ended up buying a house with and getting engaged to. This is kind of relevant when you hear what I say. This is one of our early letters. I'm still single. Very single. My capitals, not mine. Well, that's my opinion. Though a certain girl will dispute this. This is Sally, my ex-girlfriend, who I was going out with for 2 months. We broke up in September. Well, I said I didn't want to be her boyfriend anymore. However, we stayed friends. I broke off our actual relationship for the strangest reason. One that only I seem to be able to understand. Basically, I felt that she was thinking too much of me as a love machine rather than as a real person. Like, she was only ever happy with her tongue halfway down my throat and her hands halfway down my trousers, usually further. After 2 months of this, I found it intensely boring. I just didn't feel like there was much emotional love there. It was all physical. Since I broke it off, Sally has made it plain to me on several occasions that she'd like to A, be my girlfriend again, B, to be my, quote, lover, unquote, and C, to be my wife. No. We still meet quite often, once or twice a week, and phone each other up. Whenever we meet, things happen in an identical way. I keep my distance from her in the first couple of hours. She continually flirts with me and touches me in a provocative way. Like she'll place her head on my shoulder or put her arm around me on the bus or something similar. Then she'll put her mouth close to mine and try and kiss me. At this point, I give up and usually snog her. Days like this usually end up with us lying semi-naked on my bed, Sally hinting that she wants sex with me and me telling her that we're just friends. I do not love Sally. I never did, I have to admit. She knows this. I see Sally as a friend, but I do not want her to be any more than that. I would certainly like to have another relationship with her. I do not want to hurt her, and I'd rather be the boyfriend of someone I truly loved deeply. Otherwise, it just doesn't feel right. I guess it's one of those strange things. Now, I have a very revealing bit. So why do we end up like we do every time we meet? I don't really know, but that's just the way it turns out. She can't keep her hands off me, and I just can't seem to stop her doing it. She she just keeps on flirting and touching, and I can't stop her. It's easier just to give in. I always say that I won't next time, but I always do. It's not even all that nice. I mean, it's pleasant enough, but she never gets me aroused sexually, no matter what she does. Like, one time, she even tied me naked to the bed, did a striptease, and licked me all over. For very little effect. She's happy with it, but oh, I don't know. I'm just not getting anything from it. But as I say, while I'm still single, she still flirts with me. Now, let's just take a moment to think about this. I'm an 18, 19-year-old heterosexual male, and my girlfriend strips me naked, ties me into a bed, does a striptease, and licks me all over, and my reaction is to find it boring. Heterosexual male. It's like, I'm just happily wandering out there thinking, you know what? I'm not in the closet. Happily, straight, happily, standard as. That closet is so deep, I am basically leaning against the lamppost, eating Turkish delight and becoming out like that's how deep that closet is. Anyway, that was all I found about narrow waists. But keep that in mind, because there are two other things that were also revealing when I was reading through my letters. 30th of April, 1995, letter to Anu. She asked me who I would most want to be. The person I'd most love to be? Well, it may surprise you. 4 paragraphs ago, I mentioned a girl called Sarah, the one I fancied. Well, I'd like to be her. If I die, I'd like to come back as her. I'm not too sure why. And then, in general, I'd like to be a woman and see what it's like on the other side of the gender fence. April 1995. This is mostly fueled through a belief that this gets worse. This is mostly fueled through a belief that it is easier for a woman to find a man to go out with than a man to find a woman. This may sound strange, but that's what I feel. I wouldn't particularly like to be anyone famous. Indeed, onto a different topic, there has never been one famous woman that I've ever found attractive that I ever wanted to have their poster on the wall. But just having a little bit of a dig off the back of the thing you said earlier. And I never had famous people on my wall, women or men. I went to an all-boys school, and at the time, anyone ever heard of a band called Transvision Vamp?
Yeah.
Right. Lead singer of Transvision Vamp, Wendy James, had a style. And that style was very popular amongst my peer group of teenage boys, for reasons that if you look for her on the internet, you will find out why. I had album covers, because I'm a geek. I wanted to bring my computer back, because I'd rather do that than look at pictures of men or women. The clues, as I say, were always there. Anyway, my last note, 3rd of December 1995, letter to Law. Remember, Law is the woman I ended up getting engaged to. 3rd of December 1995. You comment upon my femininity. December 1995. You comment upon my femininity. Well, I've often thought about it, and I will admit I seem to have more in common with girls than I do with boys. I have to admit that most of my closest friends through life have been girls. This does lead to one slight problem, as I usually end up having crushes on them, and then often lose their friendship. I'm sure I could quite easily be a girl And if I was, I'd be a lesbian. Now, do you remember where I first started this? I said, I don't like breasts. And naked women licking me doesn't do anything for me. And yet, December 1995, apparently, I thought I would like to be a lesbian. I've no idea. But that's basically it. That's all I could find from my pen pal letters. But I think it proves that, the clues were always there. And I don't know what, 19-year-old heterosexual male me would think if they turned up here. They'd probably be incredibly surprised as to what I have become, because clearly I'm still a heterosexual male. Obviously.